fit to be tied. Once upon a time, there was a very good tailor. Sometimes she worked for the airlines, making lovely uniforms for the pilots and flight attendants. She was a very good tailor. Even after pilots and flight attendants had received their uniforms, they would come back and visit the tailor for extra fittings, tucks, and assorted needs. Our tailor was referred to as the Cuntessa, and she was quite proud of her work. On one occasion, she had the pleasure of fitting a new pilot for his uniform. He was her last appointment of the day. He arrived a little early while the Cuntessa was finishing up a fitting with another client. Hawk, our new pilot, was told to wait in a small reception area, which was divided from the fitting room by a thick maroon curtain. Our pilot heard the following going on the other side of the curtain. The Cuntessa. Well, I did use a fabric with a good deal of stretch in it for you when this matter pops up, and I can see that the seam is quite stretched. Maybe I could provide some immediate relief by... Oh, yes, that seems to be doing the trick. I could probably take it up a hill. Oh, look at that. Oh, boy, you are a naughty boy, and you should be punished very badly. Oh. Hawk, hearing this in the other room, leans towards the curtain and bends his ear closer and closer to the curtain. This sounds interesting, he thinks. Then all of a sudden, the song Lemon Tree comes blaring from the other side of the room, covering up sounds of whacks and slaps and moans. The music stops and the curtain suddenly swipes open, making Hawk jump back into his chair. There in the doorway is a senior pilot in a new uniform, a little red-faced and sweaty, but overall looking very dapper. Behind him is the short, stocky female tailor. She's picking a piece of lint off of his shoulder. Okay, hon, I'll see you next week at the same time, and you better be good. You'll be good now. Oh, hello, my little bird. You're Hawk, correct? Yes, ma'am. I'm the Cuntessa. My friends call me Tessa. You may call me Tess. Head into the fitting room and let me know if the air conditioning is set cool enough for you. He steps into the room and does indeed notice very nice air conditioning, a big ottoman in front of a large trio of mirrors, a couple of dressing rooms, and the unmistakable smell of leather. Must be the couch, he thinks. Sit down on the leather ottoman there, and we'll start with your head. Do you know your head size? I'm a 7 7/8, Hawk says. I bet you are, she says and walks toward him, handling the measuring tape like a rope, ready to strangle someone with it. As she touches his head, ready to take the measurement, Hawk experiences a funny sensation. He doesn't quite understand it, but he feels like he's lost control of his neck or his head. It's not falling or anything, but she really completely has control over his head in some way. He thinks, maybe I should have eaten more than that Hot Pocket for lunch. As she tightens the tape around his head, he begins to feel quite relaxed, very comfortable, very nice, and the tighter she holds it, the nicer. She brings the tape around to the front of his head and, looking directly into his eyes, says, You have very nice hair. Looks like you're more of a 7 3/4, but we'll keep it at 7/8, so that you have room for your head to expand in elevation. Yes? I haven't really had any issues with my head swelling when I fly. I do have issues from time to time with my feet or my ankles, which can be avoided by doing some light activity. Wait a minute. You're telling me you've never had your head swollen while flying? No. Pity. I would have thought that happens to you a lot when you fly. Hawk is pretty sure she's coming on to him, but he isn't quite sure because he's so come on to all the time that he doesn't even know the difference between it anymore. All he knows is that right now the air conditioning is nice, she's a harmless eccentric, and he likes it very much when she touches him, especially with the tape. Looks like I'm going to be using a lot of tape on you tonight, right, Big Bird? All right, you go into that dressing room and you strip down to your underwear. As he stands up, he feels a little lightheaded, and as he takes his first step, he kind of tips into her a little bit. She grabs him from around the waist to steady him. There, Big Bird, you just relax. I've done this hundreds of times. I will make you look so handsome in your uniform. You must trust the Cuntessa. You just relax. Let the Cuntessa take control of the situation. Okay? She then swats him on his ass and pushes him towards the dressing room. How about a nice cup of tea? The swat was just what he needed. As he closes the curtain of the dressing room, he yells back, Yeah, I would like a cup of tea, and with a little bit of lemon if you have it, and just a very touch of milk, 2%, got it, and a couple biscuits if you have them. It's very pleasant. Thank you. He looks in the mirror and notices that his hair really does look good right now. And he thinks, I gotta keep using that Head and Shoulders. He comes back out of the dressing room in just his undergarments, a white t-shirt and a pair of black cotton form-fitting boxers. The Cuntessa is sitting on the ottoman next to a tray with the tea spread out very lovely on it. She watches Hawk in the mirror, as he looks at her back in the mirror and walks towards her in his underwear. She's taking her fingers and gently wrapping the measuring tape around and around her wrists, almost creating little handcuffs for herself. And then she spits out, 17, 44, 46, 35, 34. Just to get started. We'll see, huh? Come on over here and I'll measure you for your uniform. And there's your tea and your biscuits. Hawk walks to the ottoman with a bit of a yippee in his steps. He just loves biscuits. He leans down and picks up the tea, and as he does, the Cuntessa reaches for her clipboard. She's leaning forward, he's positioned directly over her, and he can see down the whole front of her blouse. He notices the cleavage of her large breasts spilling out of some sort of red corset under her blouse, and he can't help but notice she's got a lot of memoriness. And he stares just a bit too long. She turns her head, notices him, noticing her. He's embarrassed. He jolts back with his head and shoulders, and suddenly, as he does, he spills his hot tea on his groin. Wow! Ouch! In one graceful move, the Cuntessa grabs a napkin from the tea tray and immediately holds it to his penis area, gently rubbing. Hawk immediately grabs down, places his hands over hers, and basically is rubbing her hand into his groin area. Excuse me. Hawk mumbles. The Cuntessa carefully guides her hand away, leaving the napkin in place in Hawk's hand. And then she says, 5 1/4. You ready to continue, or do you need a moment? Hawk, thinking to himself, continue with what? But then comes to his senses. Oh yeah, sure. I'm sorry. How awkward of me. Careless. The Cuntessa asks, shall I pour you more tea, or have you had enough? I'll just finish what's left in the cup here. Pops a biscuit in his mouth and guzzles down the tea, with his eyes looking at her over the cup. Now he notices that her nipples are a little hard, and he starts to feel a sensation he totally does not want to feel at this moment. Hawk's getting an erection. Holding the napkin tight to his groin and turning away from the Cuntessa, he prays his erection will go away. He fills his head with bad, ugly thoughts. The dead possum that he had to pick up outside of his truck one morning. That time that he saw his mom and dad having sex when he was 10 years old. And he thinks about how stinky the bathrooms were in Ernselik. There. That seems to be working. Down, boy. Down, boy. Let's see how big you are, she says. Hawk tries to stare forward, avoiding eye contact, but it's impossible. She's looking right at him. Let's check your thickness first. Hawk thinks, oh God, no, not my thickness. I'm definitely not thick down there. In fact, I've never been referred to as much down there at all. I mean, I've been told I was acting thick before. She reaches around his head, wraps the measuring tape around his neck, and pulls it tight across his Adam's apple. Oh God, what is she doing? Is she strangling me? Oh shit. Oh, I knew something like that was gonna happen. I mean, she is strangling me. I kind of like this. Oh, that tape is so tight. I can hardly breathe. I really like this. What the hell is happening to me? Oh my God. Oh, 17 inches. I was right. Cuntessa bends down to the ottoman and jots the measurement down on a clipboard. Hawk coughs a little bit, and as he does, blood rushes to his member. He thinks, dead possum, mom, dad, naked, stinky bathrooms, dead possum. Oh, God, this is awful, but it's good. Awful good. Is everything all right, hon? You look a little peaked. Good as can be expected. I mean, I'm just fine. You sure? Yes, please keep on with the tape. Keep going. All right, I'll keep going. The Contessa then places her hands on Hawk's shoulders and begins to wrap the tape around them. She jots the measurements down on the clipboard. Next, I'm going to just do your chest. So you'll need to lift your arms away from your body like so I can get the tape underneath. Yes, that's good. Aw, shit, she's going to see how pitted out I become. Do I smell? Wait a minute, did she tweaked my nipple? I think she's tweaking my nipples. Oh, it hurts. But in a good way. I like this. After she measured his arm length and made a comment about his wide wingspan, she went to do his wrists. She lingered there for a while, very tightly wrapping the tape around his wrists, and then loosening them and then tightening it again and again. He is now kind of in a bit of a state. He feels like he's standing on a cloud, a large cumulus cloud. His key eye focus is a bit off, and he hears strange music playing in the background. Something from The Sound of Music. My favorite things? He sees himself in the mirror, responding to her requests. He's lifting his shirt up to reveal his waistline, and she's wrapping more tape around him, tighter and tighter, and all the while his wrists are still bound by that other tape, and then there's some tape that's getting trapped in the elastic of his waistline of his boxers. She opens the elastic up away from his body and snaps it back hard into place, kind of waking him up a little bit. He thinks to himself while looking at himself in the mirror, dead bathroom, naked possum, smelly parents. I just need to get your length here, and then we're done, hon. Length? What does she mean by my length? Next thing Hawk knows, the Contessa is kneeling down in front of him, with her face 6 inches away from his confused member. She reaches into his inner thighs and slightly spreads his legs apart, in kind of a harsh little way, in order to get a measurement. The back of her hand is against his groin area, and now he can see everything down her shirt. She does have a nice setup. Nope, stop thinking that. Shit. And at that moment, his penis becomes completely engorged with blood. So much so that he almost hits her in the face with it. She leans back away from him. Well, she kind of has to. Well, naughty bird, you obviously wear it on the right side. Thanks for pointing that out for me. Your uniform will be ready next Thursday. I'll need you to come back for your final fitting. And I hope you come back as well prepared as you did this evening. It will make things go very smoothly for you and for me. Yes. Yes, I will, Hawk responds. And with that, our bird, slightly off kilter, waddled back to the dressing room.